Hello, Scorpio. Thank you very much for tuning in to this week's read. For the main part of the read, I'm using the Cosmic Slumber Tarot by Tilly Walden. On the bottom is the website liminal11.com, liminal11.com. Feel free to freeze frame and check that out if you're interested. Supportive Oracle cards. You Are Clairvoyant Oracle cards by Belinda Grace. Illustrations by Elaine Marzin. Website on the back, rockpoolpublishing.com.au, A as an apple, U as an umbrella. Okay, what do we have for Scorpio? This card is like pushing out very reluctantly. The situation we're about to talk about, you know a lot more than you want to give yourself credit for. As we keep going through this reading, the thing they're going to start with, and I feel like it's going to pop up through this whole reading, if you slow down, step out of the situation for a little bit and just let your mind settle and think it out, you're going to know what you need to do with this. The situation has a very strong push forward to like, I want to make it what I want to make it. So it's like I have like there's something I want from the situation. This is where I want it to be. This is where I want it to be. But I keep getting, if you slow down, let the energy settle and just feel it out, you're going to realize that like where you want it to be versus where it needs to be may not be completely different, but definitely is not completely the same. It's whatever it is, it's very near and dear to your heart, very important. This is something you've been fighting for the longest time, on and off, on and off, on and off. For some of you, this may seem odd because it could be a romantic thing, but it's not with the same person. There's different people throughout your life, and a certain issue comes up sooner or later in different ways, but the same type of attitude or the same type of situation. And it's just kind of like it always comes up. It always comes up. And if you slow down and think about it, it's almost like when somebody tells you, that you don't do enough. It's like telling a Scorpio they don't do enough. That seems odd to me, but I can see somebody trying to play that game with you. And it's almost like you got so much else going on with other people that they're like, you don't do enough for me. And it may be flat out BS. But the thing is, where is this coming from? What does this mean? Why are they playing this game? Why does it seem like that? Is communication the key here? What's going on? So it's kind of like, this is something that keeps repeating. This is about a pattern. I feel like this is easily about a pattern for you. This reading, if it ends up hitting, it's about not only recognizing the pattern, but trying to find a way to rewrite that pattern so it doesn't work against you any longer, but so you can use it to your advantage. It may be born from a survival mechanism. I think I'm saying that right. You might want to research that, what those are. I believe that is more of a thing you might learn usually in early life, I believe. Maybe not. Maybe you learn them all throughout life, as far as I know. But it's something when things are going rough, you learn a pattern or a way of handling something when it's rough that gets you through that and helps you survive through it. After the bad time has passed, you keep using that survival pattern, but instead of it helping you, it's now blocking you from what you actually want. Something along those lines. You might have to research it a little bit, but this is about addressing something like a survival pattern that needs to be rewritten. There's also some advice here, if possible. Finding a therapist may help you sort this out a lot more effectively. The purpose of a therapist, I don't know, I've had to explain this recently, and I was kind of shocked that I had to explain it, but maybe it's just because of the way I look at it. Therapists don't control people. They listen to you, they hear your problems, and then they give you ideas and possibilities to do things differently, or finding ways to like change a habit, change how you handle things, exercises to like help you see what's really going on around you so you don't have to be stuck in things the way they are. They give you exercises to strengthen you, not control you. So I don't know why I had to explain that to somebody recently. Well, I mean, you know why, because they didn't want to see it that way, but in case there's some worry about therapists, they're not somebody who controls. They don't control people, at least not in my opinion. They give you ideas and possibilities for you to work with your own energy and to reevaluate what you're doing to find a better way or different way for you to be at peace with handling something differently. It's almost like instead of running into a fire, a house on fire, just willy-nilly, just trying to save whoever you hear, the therapist would be the one saying, all right, before we run into the house, do we know who's in there? Can we find out who's in there? Can we find out where they would be? Is there a safer way to get in control there without going in the fire? Can we yell to them and get them towards the exit? Can we do other things? Can we get other people in there to help us so that we don't have to actually go into the danger, but we can still get it taken care of and people safe? Like, that seems to be how I would think a therapist would work. I haven't gone to therapy since I was very young, so it's very, very foggy for how that used to work. What else do we got going on here? Yeah. Whatever it is, you don't want it to continue the way it's been going anyway. I feel like there will be a trigger to where you're like, oh, here we go again with this. Or this is happening again. Or this has happened before. The trigger makes you, I feel like it's going to make you really, really uncomfortable. It's something where I feel like I don't want this to happen again this way, and I don't understand why it keeps happening. One of those things. But this is definitely something you can overcome. There's an energy here that's very brutal for you, by the way. Somebody who's pointing out this error, I don't know if I want to say error, this issue, let's say issue. They're very brutal. They're very, like, you know, they don't mince words. It's kind of like saying, the table is broke. I don't understand why you keep putting food on it. It's like, they're very brutal. Like, maybe you made the table work, maybe you got it propped up just a certain way so it does hold food and it won't fall over, but they're looking at you like, the table is broke, you need to throw it out, I don't know why you keep doing this. And they're just very brutal and in your face. They don't want to talk about why you're keeping it, what you've done to make it work out, all this other stuff. They're like, no, that's all wrong. And they're very brutal. They're just very brutal. They're just like, the facts are you can have another table, but you keep using this broken one. They're very brutal. This is somebody who's getting right in your face about it. And I feel like the hardest part with dealing with this person is the fact that they won't hear you. It forces you in a corner to where you feel like you need to fight for yourself. Because they're not hearing you, they're just accusing you. And it's very difficult. Whatever the situation is, they're just coming at you full force with a whole big bucket full of your wrong. No matter what way you put it, they're just throwing your wrongs at you left and right. Bucket full of your wrong, left and right, left and right, left and right. So, which makes you, I mean, understandably, very defensive. Because that's really like, if somebody's not willing to talk with you or work it out with you or anything like that, like, that makes it very difficult to deal with stuff. Which is another reason they're like, you might need somebody else in this. Stepping back and feeling it out, you can figure it out, but it's better to have a therapist if possible. I'm a big fan of Paul McKenna, British author. If there's anything in his book list that's of interest to you, I highly recommend checking that out. Communication, finding a way to communicate. When I get automatic writing, it's supposed to be a psychic thing, I know that. But when this card comes up, a lot of times I feel like they're talking about either journaling or talking with others or finding a support group even online. There's a lot of different ideas out there. Sometimes you can find people who are going through similar things and will tell how they've gone through it and how they've changed their circumstances. There's so many ways to find a way to help your situation change. Because whatever this is, again, the person accusing you is very brutal and not really warm and fuzzy to talk to at all. You're going to need somebody else to communicate with. It could be just journaling. That could be a form of automatic writing. You might end up journaling, and especially Scorpio, because you guys are psychic. You're a water sign. They tend to be psychic. I mean, not everyone, I know, but most. You might find yourself journaling. You go back to reread what you wrote, and you're like, I don't remember writing half of this, but now let me read it and see what I wrote. You might have one of those experiences, so that might be worth it for you. The situation is going to take a bit of work. I don't think of Scorpio as somebody who's afraid of work, but I do feel like the emotional deep dive is kind of painful, but it will lead to the release. Emotional release is what it says. It's going to take some work to get this to change. Whatever the situation is, I don't like the thought of, like, I don't know, I feel like you're working with a survival mechanism. I don't feel like there's anything wrong. I just feel like the survival mechanism for what you're currently handling is working against you. It makes sense why it's there. It makes sense why you feel the way you feel and why you handle things the way you handle things. But if you're able to take it apart, look back, why do I handle it this way? What happened in the past that makes me want to handle things this way? And can I reconstruct that so that not every time something similar to that happens, I react the same way? Maybe I can find different ways to handle the same situation based on who is bringing it towards me and how I feel the situation is going to directly impact me in that moment. It is going to take some work. Definitely going to take some work. Again, I don't see Scorpio being afraid of that. I mean, you got to do what you got to do. Scorpio seems to be on the ball with that, in my opinion. 9 of Fire, holding your ground, and the Death card upside down. It's going to take some time. The Death card is your card. That's the Scorpio card. When it's upside down, you're going to feel like you're out of your element. When you start working on this stuff, it's going to make you feel like you're out of control. That's going to be one of the triggers to where you know you're actually making some progress, because it's going to feel like you're out of control, which is another reason why they're highly recommending you find a mentor, therapist, whatever works for you, because it's going to feel like you're out of control. It's going to feel like the world is coming in on you. Having support is really important and really helpful if you choose to do so. Again, you got online resources. There's a lot of things you can do. Is it BetterHelp.com? I don't know if that's the therapist thing. Because from what I understand, you can even talk to therapists via text if that's more convenient for you. Getting through this, I do see you, once you start stepping forward, though, I do see you making it. You do have what it takes to make it through this. You definitely have the strength to do it. It's going to take some time, definitely take some time, but you're going to fortify this situation, this part of your life, the way you want it to be fortified, and you have easily enough strength and intelligence to do it easily. When you get to the other side of this, if you do decide to take this road and you decide to reform the situation, work through these emotional barriers of some sort, when you get to the other side, you may be surprised at the choices you're faced with. Because once you deconstruct these survival mechanisms, you might realize that there's certain people in your life that you no longer really want there anymore, in a positive way. You just don't want to deal with them anymore. And you may be forced with a choice at the end of it, just a heads up on that. Once you change and your energy feels better, you might realize that your energy doesn't match some other people around you anymore. And this brutal energy, that might be one of the people that doesn't match you anymore, just to be fair. I don't know why I need to give a heads up about that, but I feel like it's important that I do put that out there. Are we good? All right. I'm going to shut this down here. I hope that helps. Thank you for watching. If you'd like a direct reading from me, shoot me an email, jamesforastral@gmail.com. That's James, the number 4, astral@gmail.com. If you're interested in the donation information, that's below, same email. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great day.